Hi, Hinsters. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new, welcome to, of course, this is part two of my South Node in the birth chart mini series. And if you're not sure what the South Node is, go check out part one, where I go in for like 10 minutes on just that topic. This part is only covering houses 7 to 12. So if you have the South Node in houses 1 to 6, go check out part 1. All right, then, the South Node in the 7th house. So your committed romantic partners, for example, are likely to be somehow South Node like. Maybe they are dreamy or they just don't care about anything, very laissez faire. Is that the expression? No stress kind of people as well. For some people with this placement, there is this signification of loss of partners or marriages ending. And because the 7th house is also how we tend to view others generally, you might think or feel that people are somehow South Nodian. Maybe you think people are too nice or give too much away or whatever, something like that. Business partners could be quite relaxed as well. This is like the type of business partner who might just blow the budget and beyond if you're not careful. If you're a moon rising or moon in the first house, then your moon could really help with any of the more challenging aspects of this placement. Yay. South Node in the 8th house, then, as I mentioned at the beginning of this series, South Node heavy people generally can have more of those latent energies, and being in the 8th house as well adds to this potential to be slow to deal with the anxieties or the fears had about life and the future. The 8th house does contain idleness, and this can be especially amplified with the South Node. The native might also be quite relaxed with other people's stuff. This is like the person who borrows stuff and kind of loses it and also doesn't think too much of it. On the other hand, this could be a great placement for losing debt as well as being mired in debt. It really depends how the node is expressing itself here. You might also break promises a lot or kind of significant contracts with others, such as marriages or business deals. You can be someone quite ready as well and willing to break things off or cut people out if you feel that that's the way it's going. So there's very much this like kind of natural sense of just letting something fall away or fall apart or break away and not resisting or trying to cling to it in an idle way. Remember, in the beginning of this series, I talked about how this node is like the tail of a severed snake or dragon falling away. And so there's always, with the South Node, this sense somehow in our charts of that willingness to just let things go or be released or put things out, spend things and all that jazz. But I will say that if you have one of the malefics here, that is Mars or Saturn, especially if you have Saturn here, then you can have far fewer negatives and more of a hold on the 8th house challenges. Obviously, check the sign as well that you have the node in and check whatever else is going on. The 8th house isn't all like doom and gloom. There could be lots of great things going on as well. Maybe I'll make a series actually on the houses. Let me know in the comments if you'd like a series on the houses and if you'd like a video on the 8th house. Okay, South Node in the 9th house, then this placement can bring challenges concerning things like higher education or maybe in some religious or spiritual context. This could be like the gay Mormon runaway. This is the person who learns also from life instead of like from big weighty books or kind of dusty teachers. This can also bring people who are stuck or lost in wanderlust, like they are the roamers, they are the backpackers, they feel at home, where other people might feel really alienated or foreign. They could also be like they could be some kind of people who lose things abroad. That's what I want to say. Or even having to run away abroad. Maybe some people even seek asylum with this placement. And one interesting thing this can also bring is a kind of surrendering, a surrendering philosophy or outlook on life, and like this resigned faith sometimes, and feeling that everything is going to be all right, like no matter what. This can very much be that kind of sometimes overbearing, especially if the sun is in the ninth house as well, but kind of overbearing optimism, or kind of that person who's just always saying to you, it's going to be fine, you're going to be fine, even if it's a very difficult situation. But it can also bring, interestingly, like this sense of people thinking kind of like that Madonna song, nothing even matters. Is that the song? Nothing even matters. Like, especially if you've got the sun here too, again, in the ninth house. I say this because the sun has its joy in the ninth house as well. But at the same time, as is often with the ninth house, there's this deep optimism or silver lining kind of ness about it. And this is kind of like also Destiny's Child, I'm a survivor mentality. So there's a lot of kind of being fine with letting go, being fine with South Node type things. Or I guess for some people, what I mean is that the native is fine also with like big questions in their life going unanswered, or certain dreams not being attained. Maybe this person is very content with and proud of the things that they have achieved. Maybe this is like someone who's like in their 60s, 70s, 80s, who's satisfied and doesn't really have regrets. This is also like people who don't need to prove themselves in some sense. For some, there will also be like this significant loss of a teacher figure or an uncle type in your life. Or maybe these types of people, uncles, teachers, guides, they are somehow South Nodian to you. South Node in the 10th house then. This is a big one because this placement is in the highest angular house of the chart. So of course, for some, it brings a lack of purpose or a lack of calling. This is like the person who has no qualms about quitting a job that kind of makes them unhappy. It can also create someone who gives up easily. It can also create deep inactivity or really not feeling motivated to do much at all. And the moon in the first house, or having a malefic present in the 10th house, can really alleviate some of those 10th house South Node challenges. There can also be a loss of family members, especially masculine members of the family, or those people like masculine family members. They're somehow South Nodian to you. Maybe the father is drunk or always in fairyland, or the father is very relaxed in some sense. And your reputation can be somehow South Nodian. Like maybe you're known to be quite forgiving, quite relaxed, or you're known to be reckless, or you're known to be very spiritually content or escapist, or to be very yielding. And if you're quite, an established or famous, popular person, that's like really projected in your profile, even in your social media. There could be this image of you as being somehow South Nodian. How this plays out exactly could be like one of a million different possibilities, but all those possibilities are South Nodian. And I feel also like the South Node in the 10th house people, these people really yearn for, or they feel at their best in a job or pursuing a calling where they are rooted in or concerned with something that is spiritual maybe, or where they are helping others deal with loss, or when they are providing practical advice to people. This could easily be things like, or this could indicate, if you're very young, for example, and you're still thinking about like what kind of career or job you'd like to pursue, I personally see this as a really good one for things like divorce lawyers or probation officers, or some sort of like liaison figure or intermediary who is helping people transition from a state of loss to a state of stability or peace. So that's very nice and very useful for the world. South Node in the 11th house then. This one can create these kind of, the image I had here is like homeless people in Santa Claus outfit vibes. Like there's big potential here to want to have this jolly attitude about giving away things in life, giving too much away in your life, especially if you have Jupiter here as well, because Jupiter is in its joy, in his joy in the 11th house. Or maybe you have a strong Jupiter making a trine to your south node. Obviously, this is not necessarily bad. It can simply create that kind of old lady type who bakes for everyone, or who's always checking that everyone on the team has their bellies filled or is on the same page, or like you're making sure everyone at the party has a drink. This is the person who's like always topping up people's glasses, is very trusting with other people as well. And also, you could kind of invite anyone into your life to be your friend. Sometimes that's dangerous, obviously, but it can bring a lot. Another thing it can bring is loss of friends as a theme for some people, and also for some, this placement brings loss of the good stuff. In some sense, it creates also a defeatist person, even when the odds are kind of in your favor in life. This is like someone who gets a gift as well from their parents or whatever, and then they just give it right away to another kid. Like, this reminds me of when I was young as well, and my uncle gave me a rare £5 coin. It's quite hard to find. I don't even know if they still make them, but £5 coins. And right away, I went and spent it on something like so mundane that I don't even remember what I bought. And I remember him seeming like disappointed and surprised. But this is like the South Node. It's often like an overwillingness, and very often subconscious or unconscious, thisness to give it away or to spend things as soon as you get the currency. And in the 11th house, then, this is done very much in a good spirit, from a good place. And because you don't really have a greed or a desire necessarily, you don't want to like amass things. There's just this nature of yours that kind of gives it away, and in a good-hearted way. South Node in the 12th house, then, this placement is probably one of the strongest indicators of somebody who's going to be a monk, or that kind of, obviously this is not always literal, right? This could be like a monk type of person. Maybe they do a very normal job, but on the weekends they do kind of more monk-like things. They're very isolated, or they enjoy the solitary life. This is like also that quiet guy at the party who barely says anything and who has those kind of deep, knowing eyes. This is, interestingly, also those people who get what they want despite experiencing suffering. This is like the type who will go through a dark period, and then, maybe they go through a very abusive relationship, or maybe they grew up in an orphanage, and then when they get out of that relationship or that institution, they meet like someone beautiful or a group of beautiful people, and this is just like a bloom in their life, and it's like happy ever after from then on. And this can either be also a willingness to exist with suffering, so living alongside suffering. That can be very South Node in the 12th house, but there's this like willingness or contentedness, or like the native barely has anything to complain about as well. That's what I'm seeing. And also they kind of shake it off. They shake off bad people or bad spirited things like it's nothing. And this is like the girl who senses an icky vibe and just kind of breaks free. This is like Ariana Grande. And the same also goes for like hidden enemies or traps. These are all 12th house things. And the native kind of likely has a strong sense of that which seeks to harm them, and the native can easily say no, or move away quietly. It depends what the sign is, if the sign is masculine or feminine, as to how they go about it, but they are gonna let go. This is Taylor Swift also, like shaking the haters off, like cutting people off, and sometimes it's not even that you intend to do that, but these people and these things just fall away. I think like South Node in the 12th house, the 12th house being the house of bad spirit, it's kind of like having good luck when it comes to bad things, if that makes sense. And this is also that kind of vibe of like, this bus or train that you usually get every day. but like one day you're really late, so you couldn't catch the same one you get, and it gets into a crash on that very same day, or something else crazy or serious happens, and you're like, wow, if I wasn't late, I'd have been there too. That could have been me. There could be a lot of that could have been me-ness with South Node in the 12th house. This is because the 12th house is behind the first house being you, your body, your spirit, all you type things. And so its energies are invisible, but having the South Node here can give you a heightened awareness, especially if the moon is co-present, or maybe you have the moon in the first house or the third house. These indicators can mean that you're even more aware of this kind of good luck with bad spirit. Anyway, that's all I have today for you. Happy Leo season. Let me know in the comments where you have your South Node, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.